Hello, this is the Jurassic expert here, back with another Jurassic vlog video. First time in over a year, and today I'm at the Utah Natural History Museum, and let's go take a look at some of the fossils that they have here to offer. Okay, I just got back from the Natural History Museum of Utah, and overall, I gotta say, I was very impressed with this museum. I've been to a lot of museums. Like, I'd say the ones that I've actually posted on YouTube, it's probably about, like, I don't know, 3% of all the museums I've ever been to. um, but the species variety was amazing, the displays were amazing. I don't really have any criticisms other than it would be cool if they got a Utah Raptor articulated skeleton. That would be pretty neat to see there as well. It's the state dinosaur of Utah, so it's a bit surprising that they don't have Utah Raptor there. They definitely represented the creatures that roamed Utah very well. It was very informational. And some of the of my personal highlight exhibits from the Natural History Museum of Utah was definitely the Ceratopsian wall. I mean, seriously, if you guys ever get the chance to see it, definitely go check it out. My video did not do it any justice whatsoever. It's such a surreal thing looking up at just this wall of giant ceratopsian skulls. I also really liked the inclusion of Nasutoceratops and Pachyrhinosaurus. Pachyrhinosaurus is my favorite ceratopsian, so that was really cool getting to see Pachyrhinosaurus there. And that was the first time I've ever seen an actual Pachyrhinosaurus fossil or a Nasutoceratops. And after Battle at Big Rock, you gotta love Nasutoceratops a little bit. There was also an arrowhead with mammoth blood that was very interesting. The display with the Ceratosaurus, Stegosaurus, and Marchosaurus was pretty cool as well. First time I got to see Marchosaurus. The display with the Allosaurus and Barosaurus was also very cool. Definitely kind of the main display that definitely catches the eye. That was the first time I've ever seen Barosaurus and juvenile Allosaurus. I've only seen adult Allosaurus. It was also cool seeing the Therizinosaurids. I forget which species they were called, but it was still very cool. And Utah Ceratops. It was cool to see Utah Ceratops. The Gryposaurus or Griposaurus displays were very well. Both of them were very well done. The specimen under the glass was very cool because it actually had a bunch of big chunks of the skin impressions. And yeah, I was also surprised to see Lithronyx there, or Lythronax. The fully articulated skeleton, that was pretty cool to see, and it turned out to be one of my favorite displays there, mainly because of the background. It just made it pop out a little bit more if in comparison to some of the other displays that they had at the museum. I do feel that I have to mention that in terms of COVID safety, it was actually pretty decent. There wasn't a mask requirement, but seeing as COVID restrictions are starting to be lifted, it's not really that surprising. But it did have sanitizing dispensers basically at every corner. I'm not even exaggerating. Like almost anywhere you went in the museum, there was always a sanitizing dispenser. I also want to mention that the purpose of this video is not meant to be a substitute for actually going to see the museum. This is kind of meant to help people to decide whether or not they want to go to the museum, using what they see in this video as a good reference tool of what's there and if it's worth seeing. I know sometimes it can be a bit difficult to decide when you just have a couple of pictures of the museum. So that's kind of what the purpose of these videos are, and also to encourage some of you guys to get out there, see these museums, explore a bigger world. Another thing that I do want to mention that I did not get on camera, I did off camera, was I actually met up with a paleontologist, and they actually took me on a little bit of a tour in the preparation lab. and they showed me a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool specimens. Most of them were not out on the floor. Basically, they showed us a giant block that they were excavating that had the remains of the lower half of a Deinosuchus, and that's another thing that I want that was pretty noteworthy at the Natural History Museum of Utah was the Deinosuchus. That was the first time I saw Deinosuchus, so that was pretty cool. But anyway, uh, the paleontologist allowed me to hold an osteoderm from that same Deinosuchus, so that was pretty cool. Um, and they then showed me a T Rex foot, or the bones of a T Rex foot, and I was actually able to hold one of the claws from the foot. And then they showed me and allowed me to hold a T Rex tooth. First real T Rex tooth I've ever held. First T Rex claw I've ever held. Just it was just amazing. um, and then I also got to touch a Hadrosaurus skin impression, probably seeing as the Gryposaurus was there. Probably was Gryposaurus, but not too sure. They showed me the cast of a Echinocephalus skull and tail club, so that was pretty cool. Getting an up close look at that, because the only one that they have, the fully articulated skeleton, is kind of tucked in the back. So yeah, uh, but you're probably wondering, some of you are probably wondering, why didn't I record this? And the simple answer is, I wanted to experience the moment for myself and not have to worry about capturing the moment on video and all that, because it does kind of take you out of the moment when you're just viewing it through a screen. And I'm glad that I did not record that, because I felt like I was able to really connect with the paleontologist. With that said, the paleontologist did tell me something kind of gave me a little bit of juicy news here, and I'm not going to say all of it, but they are basically working on a newly discovered dinosaur, or classifying it, and basically, all I'm going to say, I'm not going to say the name, just so they get to coin it, because it is such a cool name. It's a work in progress, but that's the penciled in name. But I just thought it was really cool. I'm not going to say it though. But all I'm going to say is that it is a ceratopsium, and its name kind of makes it sound like it would be a superhero's pet dinosaur. But one interesting thing about the paleontologist that I met is they specifically love to study Parasaurolophus. And they actually told me a few facts I never really thought about or knew about before. And one thing is, I mean, Parasaurolophus is a pretty popular dinosaur. I mean, it's everywhere. But there's not that many skulls that have been discovered of it, and that was something I never heard before. So that was pretty interesting to hear about. But what was really interesting was how they described how Parasaurolophus aged, specifically regarding its crest. So basically, when it's a baby, it has like a little bump on its head, like Triceratops and its horns. But then, as it grows up, the horn grows out, but it curls back. It kind of curls into a tight little curl there, similar to what you guys saw in the video and what's there on display. So that would be about like a juvenile. That wouldn't have been fully grown yet. And basically, as it gets older from there, the crest actually straightens out, and sometimes it could just be full straight, just a fully straight crest. And that was pretty funny to find out, especially since you always see Parasaurolophus with at least a little bit of a curve in the crest, and it's just straight up. So yeah, that was a pretty cool thing that I got to learn. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Jurassic vlog video, and hopefully you guys found it informative and maybe once things with the pandemic have calmed down a little bit more and more travel is available, maybe some of you guys might want to take a trip out here to Utah and check this museum out. I definitely recommend it 100%. This is probably one of the best museums I've ever been to, and that's saying a lot. I have been to the Chicago Field Museum, I've been to the New York Natural History Museum, the Museum of the Rockies in Montana, and of course, as you guys have seen, La Brea Tar Pits, and the Smithsonian, and all these other museums, all these very, very prestigious museums. So that does say a lot, that I think that this is definitely one of the best museums I've been at. Definitely pay a visit to it. You will not regret it. But with that said, I'm going to have to end the video here. As always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and click the notification bell to get notified whenever I put up new videos like this one. And as always, dinosaurs might be older than you, but you are never too old for dinosaurs. Bye-bye.